January 20th, 2010. Ben says I'll be a Brazilianaire if I can get it through his thick skull why my software is useful. I agree. What does outliner mean to you?
It has no... nothing registers. I know what an outline is,
okay,
but I've never heard the word outliner.
Okay, perfect.
So the concept of an outliner, which is something that does outlines, is something that has no connection whatsoever with me.
For people who need to get thoughts organized, it's a tool to augment their ability to do that, and also to help them express that organization to other people, so that other people can visualize it and get on board really quickly, and then add their 2 cents.
Take like chunks of information, categorize them, separate them, put them in some kind of logical order. I'll be like 3 steps ahead because an idea, a line will pop in, but I have to write it down or it'll die. You got to understand, you're talking about a guy who works with collaboration. This takes like a live chat to the next level. It just helps you organize it.
Chat. You have your unstructured conversation in the chat and use the outliner to organize it and convey it to others. And how it works with chat is that it lets you have an unstructured conversation in chat that you collaborate together on an outline. And since you're collaborating on an outline, some tools it's like they're trying to preserve the chronology of the conversation.
Yeah.
Conversations are linear in time, right? Like they go in time. You could map a conversation out on a timeline, and because of that, like that's their primary structure.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to interact that way.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get spontaneity,
right, exactly.
and creativity and all of this other
right.
stuff. If you're late to the conversation, you don't necessarily want to read the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, so you want to get the essence down. So we have a lot of extraneous information that we generate that ultimately will not be part of an outline that we produce. To get to point A, you have to walk a mile. You don't need footage of the whole mile walk.
Right.
So when you do your ultimate outline, you get rid of all the walk.
The outline is an artifact that you're collaborating on together.
Yes, sir.
It's the object of collaboration.
Right.
And it's the thing that's useful beyond the conversation. But the conversation is what you do to build it.
Right.
And you couldn't build it without the conversation.
No, you couldn't.
It's natural for you to edit each other's thoughts and complete everything and sort of move stuff around. Because
what I've discovered is that this talent I have to organize my thoughts is not something I share with a lot of people. That a lot of people don't organize their thoughts well.
This idea of using the computer to augment your ability to keep information organized has been around forever.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of people who kind of have come up with that who are into using outliners. Outliners is like a kind of way that you can organize information.
Okay.
So those people there's people who are hardcore outliners for that reason because they're into the information organization stuff.
Yeah.
There's people who are hardcore outliners because they're writers. There are a lot of writers who use outliners because there's basically 2 types of writers. Some writers make a giant outline of everything they're going to do and then sort of fill it in, and some just like start at the beginning and go to the end. You said that it's useful for someone who isn't used to being a sort of structured thinker.
Yes.
It's also useful for 2 people to collaborate together on structured thinking. So if you have something that's sophisticated enough that you need to think together with someone, then you can just start making an outline and you can actually think. I also use it extensively to communicate with my partner, and this is an important one for me because, like, since I have a business partner, and there's a lot of balls in the air, and we have a lot of ongoing stuff that we need to communicate about, and some of it can get complicated, and some of it is just something that we got to keep track of. And it's really easy for me to just create an outline, share it with them, and know that he can read it and get right into my mind. And then if he has any questions, he can just put them in or everything.
Right.
We had a middle school try it out. And what happened was the teacher called me up and said, I just tried out Think Thinker with my husband and we thought it was so cool. I'm a middle school teacher and I want to try it out with my kids. So what we did is we set up a separate instance of the application and we made it so that they couldn't collaborate with the outside world.
Okay.
3 classes of 20.
Okay.
And they did small groups, so they did 4 kids, and 1 kid was in charge of the outline, but everybody else could contribute.
Yeah.
And they outlined their chapter. So these are 6th graders, they read their chapter, then they came to class, they talked about it, and then as a group they built an outline of it.
Okay.
So think about, from an educational perspective, like what those kids actually did.
Yeah.
Right? They all discussed how this information should be organized, and they sort of came to a conclusion together. So they were really sharing thoughts really effectively. And
Right.
and not only that, the administrator ran into one of the sixth graders in the elevator and said, "So, hey Sally, how's it going?" And she said, "Okay, but I'm bummed because we don't have social studies till later, and everybody else got to use ThinkLeaker already."
Wow, so they enjoyed it. They had
They
fun
enjoyed
with
it.
Okay.
I've gotten. And
It's a great product.